Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a thrilling ancient forensic mystery. We're looking at biblical textual criticism. But hold on, we aren't treating this as some dry, dusty theology lesson. Oh no. We're going to crack open one of the most famous texts in human history, the Gospel of John, and look at the incredibly strange anomalies hiding right at the very end of it. Picture this. You are part of an ancient PR crisis team. Your community's founder, the guy everyone thought was literally immortal, just died suddenly. It is a complete disaster. Rumors are absolutely flying, people are confused, and the credibility of your entire movement is on the line. So what do? Well, you edit the official record. Part 1. The Mystery of the Last Chapter. To really understand this ancient crisis, we first have to visit our historical crime scene. The incredibly awkward transition between Chapter 20 and Chapter 21. It's an anomaly that stands out like a sore thumb if you know what you're looking for. Take a look at this quote right here from the end of Chapter 20. Structurally, narratively, this is a textbook, majestic conclusion. In literary terms, it's what we call a definitive colophon. The author is formally signing off, summarizing the purpose of the entire work, and essentially saying a final goodbye to the reader. The book is done. Wrapped up. But then you flip the page, and the very next verse, the start of Chapter 21, just clumsily restarts the story. Afterward, Jesus appeared again. It's so jarring, right? It perfectly illustrates the dropped curtain effect. It feels exactly like actors continuing to perform on stage after the heavy velvet curtain has already fallen and the audience has already started clapping. So why on earth is there a whole new scene playing out after the grand finale? Part 2. 3 forensic textual clues. Okay, so if Chapter 21 is this tacked-on scene, this dropped curtain, we need to gather our forensic clues to figure out exactly who added it and why. Was it a malicious forgery? Just a scribe's mistake? Well, here is where we hit a massive manuscript paradox. With other famous editions in the Bible, like the ending of Mark 16, we know they are later additions because they're completely missing from the earliest surviving texts. But John 21, completely different story. It is unanimously present in absolutely every surviving Greek manuscript we have, right down to the early 3rd century Papyrus P66. Think about what that unanimous presence actually means. Because Chapter 21 never circulated without being attached to the rest of the Gospel, scholars can deduce for sure that this wasn't some forgery slipped in centuries later by a random scribe. No, this was a final, in-house edit. It was a redaction made right at the source, right before the book was ever publicly published and sent out to other churches. And that brings us to our smoking gun clue, hiding right in plain sight in the grammar itself. Check out verse 24 of this final chapter. There is a sudden, totally unannounced shift. It goes from a singular narrative voice to a collective one. We know that his testimony is true. The original author didn't speak about himself in the plural. This leaves us to ask the detective's most crucial question. Who exactly is we? That mysterious we reveals the existence of the Johannine school. This was a devoted, tight-knit group of editors, students, and successors, likely based in Ephesus or Syria. When their teacher, the original author, passed away, this dedicated group stepped in to finalize his work. They added this epilogue to attach their collective seal of authenticity before distributing it to the wider world. Part 3, Crisis Management and the Unexpected Death. So why did they need to add a whole new chapter instead of just publishing it exactly as it was at the end of Chapter 20? Let's look at their first motive. This school wasn't just doing some light proofreading, they were actively managing a severe crisis of faith. See, a wild rumor had circulated in the early church. People genuinely believed that the beloved disciple, the author of this gospel, was immortal, or at the very least, that he wouldn't die before Jesus physically returned to earth. So when this beloved author actually died of old age, absolute panic. It caused immense confusion and embarrassment among his followers because their leader's death seemed to prove a core prophecy completely wrong. And this is where our ancient PR team absolutely shines. The redactors brilliantly used Chapter 21 to do immediate damage control. They inserted this specific scene to directly address the rumor, clarifying Jesus's exact words. They basically step in and say, hey everyone, Jesus didn't actually say he wouldn't die, he just asked a hypothetical question. It was a total masterstroke to smooth over the glaring, awkward contradiction between the community's popular prophecy and the undeniable reality of their leader's mortality. Part 4. Crisis Management and the Rehabilitation of Peter. But you know what? These ancient spin doctors didn't stop there. Their second motive involved a totally different kind of emergency, a tricky church political crisis, and the need for a major organizational merger. See, throughout the original Gospel of John, the text subtly but constantly elevates their founder, the beloved disciple, over Peter. He's closer to Jesus at the Last Supper. He literally outruns Peter to the empty tomb. But in the broader, real-world Christian community of the time, especially over in Rome, Peter held the ultimate dominating authority. So this created massive political friction. If the Johannine community wanted their gospel accepted worldwide, they had a serious Peter problem.
Enter chapter 21. This added chapter beautifully and effectively rehabilitates Peter's image. After famously denying Jesus 3 times during the crucifixion, Peter is given 3 distinct chances in this new scene to declare his love, effectively undoing those previous betrayals. Furthermore, he is formally granted leadership with the command, "Feed my sheep." By doing this, the Johannine community safely and very diplomatically aligned their specific local tradition with the dominant mainstream Petrine church.
So it really all comes down to an elegant, two-pronged strategy. Chapter 21 wasn't just some random afterthought. It was a highly strategic solution crafted by an ancient PR team. As you can see, it successfully resolved an internal theological crisis about a rumor of immortality while simultaneously fixing an external political rivalry with the followers of Peter. Part 5. The verdict on team editing. When we pull back the curtain and look at all this evidence, how should we judge what these ancient editors did? It's really vital to draw a line here. There are known actual malicious forgeries in ancient texts, like the Comma Johanneum, which was a conscious lie inserted centuries later purely to manipulate dogma. But chapter 21 is fundamentally different. It's an act of community redaction. It is a legitimate, necessary, and harmonizing editorial epilogue, respectfully attached by loyal students, deeply honoring their late master, all while ensuring his work would survive and be accepted. And honestly, it leaves us with a truly fascinating new lens for reading history, doesn't it? When you realize that one of the most revered texts in human history contains an epilogue born out of sudden panic and political negotiation, it really makes you wonder just how much of our ancient, sacred heritage across all cultures was shaped not just by lofty ideals, but by everyday, highly pragmatic human crisis management. Keep that in mind the next time you read an ancient text. You honestly never know what kind of fires the authors were frantically trying to put out.